to another episode of Hitting the Field. Look, I'm at a concussion protocol. I'm your host, Alex Funderburke. I'm back, and it feels great. I want to thank Grant Wheeler for filling in for me and doing an absolutely amazing job. We have a great show planned for you today. We'll be talking about the wild end to the MLB regular season and what to expect come playoff time, as well as the chaotic week in college football. All that after this. Hitting the Field starts now.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. The rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.
Major League Baseball got exactly what they wanted, an amazing last week to the season. The AL wildcard game came down to the last day, and so did the NL West race. Joining me to talk about that is Hitting the Field executive producer Johnny Jackson and host of Nighttime, my good friend Kyle DeWitt. Fellas, how are you doing, Kyle?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I mean, it's kind of weird seeing Johnny Jackson in the studio and not in my ear as of right now. So I don't get to yell at my producer as much because I don't really know him as much. But, you know, Johnny Jackson's here.
No, it's really weird seeing Johnny on set with me. But, Johnny, how are you doing?
Honestly, my feelings are kind of hurt because Alex did not give me a nice shoulder tap. It is, thank you so, I needed that. I needed that so much. You know who else needs that? Kyle Seager. That man has given so much to the Mariners. He's worth $20 million. Jerry Dipoto, you're bad at your job. You're a terrible GM. Figure it out.
Wow, he's already throwing takes. He hasn't been on for 30
I
seconds.
know, he's been on for 30.
Wow, I like this.
Johnny, this is my show. I don't know if you forgot about that. But let's jump in right to that. The Mariners. We're going to talk about the AL wild card. The Yankees and the Red Sox clinched it on the last day. I got off a plane and ran into the airport Ruby Tuesdays to see Aaron Judge's walk-off. Kyle, I mean, what were your expectations coming into the last week of the season? Because it was amazing.
Not for a four-way tie going into the last day of the last day of the regular season, but the Yankees clutched up. I do have a little bit of a hot take about that. I think the Rays actually purposely lost that game in the bottom of the ninth just so they can play the Rays possibly. I mean, just so they could play the Yankees possibly in the ALDS because the Rays have absolutely owned the Yankees in past seasons.
Johnny, I'm not going to answer that yet. What are your thoughts about that one?
Kyle, I love you to death. That is,
The Blue Jays are hot. I'd much rather play the Yankees than the Blue Jays.
are hot. My hottest take is that Marcus Semien might deserve MVP more than Vlad, but Ohtani should be it. Also, why would the Rays care about who they play? The Rays are the best team in the American League. They're my pick to win the World Series. Why do they care who they're playing? No matter what, they're going to have Shane Baz, Wizard of Baz. They're going to have Shane McClanahan. The two Shanes are nasty. I mean, Ryan Yarbrough isn't going to see the mound, and it's amazing. He has not been great this year.
The loss of Tyler Glasnow does suck, for real. Like, he's the ace. He's the guy. But the amount of bullpen action that we have as a Rays organization, and also the starting pitching we even have to back up, like the two Shanes, it's fantastic.
No, and the thing with the Rays, to me, if they had Glasnow, I think they'd be a lock to win the World Series. Without Glasnow, though, it can get a little shaky. And that's the cool thing about this MLB playoffs is, like I said on Twitter this morning, you could tell me any of these teams are going to win the World Series, and I would not think you're an idiot. But we're going to talk about that a little bit later. We all filled out brackets. That's going to be fun. I want to jump in, though, to the Mariners. I mean, what a good story, man. But they fell just short. Man, I mean, we saw Kalinick crying in the dugout in the ninth inning, and we saw J.P. Crawford crying, talking about Seager. Johnny, just talk about the Mariners, man. Do you think this is something that they can sustain, or is this just like a one-time thing?
If Jerry Dipoto actually brings his wallet out one time, they could be very good. A lot of people didn't like the Kendall Graveman trade. I like the Kendall Graveman trade. He's been decent to good. He was having the best year of his career by far. He's a free agent at the end of the year. That's a perfect trade. That's exactly what you want to do if you're one of those middle-tier teams who isn't going to go far in the playoffs. Also, Jarred Kelenic was crying, but if he looks at his stat line, he might cry a bit more. He hit well in September, but I mean, you need him to hit. Also, the fact that Julio Rodriguez was not starting in left field for all of September and August, it's insane. I mean, we all saw what happened with that Mariners executive that got fired for, being the worst. But also, he's the best outfielder in that system. He needs to be up. He needs to be up day one. I don't care what the CBA says. I don't care what fans love their teams being cheap. These owners are billionaires. They can pay Julio Rodriguez.
At Rays.
Yeah.
At Rays for sure.
Stu Sternberg, move your team to Tampa. What are you doing?
Move your team to Montreal, actually. Bring back the Expos. Get out of Tampa. Your fan base is terrible. But
The Devil Rays
I've talked
to
about this
Montreal.
before. I think the Mariners are built for success. So call up Julio. They're going to be fun for a long time. And since the Angels refuse to become a contender, I hope the Mariners take down the Astros and they become the AL West favorite, because every baseball fan will be behind them, because everybody on earth hates the Houston Astros. But enough about the Astros for now. Let's talk about my Yankees and the AL wildcard game. What a game do we have. It's the rivalry, Tuesday night, ESPN, prime time. Garrett
Fenway.
Cole at Fenway.
Fenway.
At Fenway. I mean, this is going to be a fun night for baseball. Nathan Eovaldi pitching for Boston because they used Chris Sale yesterday. I don't know if that was a smart idea.
They needed Chris Sale to pitch, though.
They
They needed him to pitch just so they win that
They
game.
needed COVID Chris.
Yes.
I don't disagree with you. They needed COVID Chris, but your boy Eovaldi is going against the Garrett Cole. Kyle, what are your expectations for this game?
Yeah, the Garrett Cole that's had two absolutely horrible last two starts. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi's actually played really good against the Yankees so far this year, putting up a 3.97 ERA and I think 22 innings. So, I mean, he's not playing bad. I mean, Nathan Eovaldi is actually not playing that bad. So, I think it's actually going to be a lot better matchup than what people think.
I have to jump in here for a second. Kyle is notoriously terrible at spelling, terrible at math.
Okay, 4.91 ERA, not 3.91
No, you're wrong.
wrong again.
He has a 3.7 against the
3.7.
Yankees.
Dang
A 3.7 in 34 innings. Now, Nathan Eovaldi does not strike out the amount of players that Garrett Cole does. He doesn't. Now, do I think the Red Sox, the 2021 Red Sox, are a better team than the 2021 Yankees?
Yes.
No, I don't. The
Kyle?
Yankees are by far the better team, but what the Yankees don't have is the 12-year-old playing third base, Rafael Devers. 2 homers in game 162. He's amazing. He drank a beer after his post-game presser. He came straight from Algebra 2 to that game, showed up, hit 2 homers, sent the Red Sox to the playoffs. He's going to send the Red Sox to the ALDS. We're going to see them Friday.
Hey, Johnny, can I tell you this? Who did Boston beat yesterday?
The Orioles.
No, they beat the Nationals.
The Nationals?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just thinking
I'm not
the Yankees can't beat the
I know,
Orioles.
the Orioles. Oh yeah, that's a fun stat. The Yankees and the Rays have the same record against the teams not named the Baltimore Orioles. Take that. No, the Boston beat the Nationals. I was at the game Friday night. I'm not going to give Boston any credit for beating the Nationals. It's the Nationals. You should not have needed Chris Sale to beat the Nationals, but they did, and I think that's what's going to cost them against Garrett Cole. I mean, it's Garrett Cole. I trust him in this type of situation. And you said we don't have the 12-year-old at third base. Guess what? We have hot Giancarlo Stanton. And if we have hot Giancarlo Stanton, I don't think there's anybody beating us.
He has been very hot in the month
If
of
he can
September.
stay hot, the Yankees are going to go to the World Series. I just don't know if he will. So, predictions, final score.
I'm gonna go ahead and say Yankees 4-3.
I'm saying Red Sox 5-3. The only thing is the Red Sox are really good at hitting sliders, but they're terrible at hitting right-handed changeups and splitters. What is Nathan Eovaldi's best pitch? His splitter. It's his best pitch. It's a matchup made in heaven. He's done it all year. Yes, he gave up 7 in 3 innings his last start against the Yankees. He's not going to do that again. If he does, I'll wear my banana suit on air. I'll do it.
Hey,
There we go.
Hey, you heard
We're
him.
keep-
On
keeping
Monday.
that live. I'm sure
On
this is
Monday.
recorded back there.
On
I'm sure this is
Monday.
recorded.
On Monday, if the Yankees win, Johnny will be on in a banana suit.
Even if it's only 5 seconds.
I'm going to go Yankees 4-1. I think Garrett Cole's going to give them 7 shutout, and I think Chad Green or Loaizaga is going to give up a run somewhere in the 7th or the 8th. But no, I think the Yankees are going to get there. But I also want to talk about the hottest team in baseball, and that's the St. Louis Cardinals. They're taking on probably the best team in baseball, roster-wise on paper, in the Dodgers. It's going to be Max Scherzer versus Adam Wainwright. Johnny, you're a Dodgers fan.
I am.
Go for it.
Go for it, dog.
So Adam Wainwright's last start against the Dodgers, he was great. 8 in the third innings, 4 runs. It looks not great, but he was at like 80 pitches through 8, giving up 2, and they threw him out for the 4th because they were up by like 6. I mean, Adam Wainwright is still really good. I don't know how he's defied time. He's aging like a fine wine, and Adam Wainwright's good. He's got the sinker, he's got the cutter, he's got the most insane curveball I've ever seen. Also, huge for the Dodgers, Max Muncy yesterday, I'm pretty sure he broke his wrist.
Yep.
They haven't announced what the official injury was. I'm pretty sure he broke his wrist and he's going to be out for October. Even if he isn't, wrist injuries kill power, and you need Max Muncy for power. And also, Clayton Kershaw is probably out for the playoffs too. If your 4th starter going into the playoffs is Tony Gonsolin, who I don't even think got through 2 innings in a single start the entire 2020 playoffs, it's not looking great for the Dodgers. I love the Dodgers. I hope they prove me wrong. I hope I hope Max Scherzer throws 8 shutout innings. But what I'm really worried about for this wildcard game is Max Scherzer giving up 2 runs through 8 and the Dodgers only scoring 1. If they're going to lose, it's going to be because their offense just doesn't pick anybody up. It's happened all year, and if the Dodgers lose, it's going to be that. They're not going to lose a slugfest. They're better. Their lineup is better. If they lose, it's going to be a close game.
I will say, though, I think Max Scherzer actually, he lines up against the Cardinals very well because all the Cardinals' best hitters are right-handers. Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado. I mean, it matches up very well for Max Scherzer just for him to throw an 8 shutout inning. I'm not going to say 8 shutout innings, but I think that he's going to have a very good performance, especially with his track record in the playoffs.
Yeah, he has not given up a run against the Cardinals this year in 2 starts.
Yep.
I mean, he's been nasty.
I mean, he's striking out 14 Cardinals a game in 2 starts. That's insane. The thing with this game that I'm worried about if I'm the Dodgers is not the roster. The Dodgers have the best roster in baseball. I don't think that's even close. It's that the Cardinals have this thing called momentum on their side. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. They have been the best team in baseball for the last month. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the Cardinals are going to win because I think that'd be ludicrous to say. But if they do win,
wouldn't be surprised.
Would not be shocked
We
at
have
all.
a momentum truther on set.
Momentum's
This is
a
almost
thing.
as bad as
Momentum's
when
a
Sean Green
thing.
said Tom Brady calls all of his teammates and makes them play better. Momentum? Are you kidding me?
That was awful.
You think momentum can take you against Max Scherzer?
Yes.
No, it can't. Alex, I love you to death.
Confidence.
Love you to death.
It's
They
not
are
about momentum.
confident.
It's about confidence.
They know-
This last month of the
You
season,
think
they've been
Max
playing very
Scherzer
confident.
isn't confident?
Johnny, they just won 17 games in a row.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're going to lose on Wednesday.
I don't disagree
They
with
won
you.
17 games in a
No,
row.
yeah,
okay,
I'm not
Johnny,
disagreeing
what
with you
happened in
either.
the 18th one?
Johnny,
They lost.
Johnny, I'm not disagreeing with you. I think they're going to lose too. But I'm saying if the Cardinals do come out and win and they smack Max Scherzer in the mouth, don't be shocked.
Who's gonna hit Max Scherzer besides Tyler O'Neill?
Hey, Tyler
That
O'Neill's
man's
that
got
dude.
massive arms.
That dude's hey,
Yeah.
He's got
he's
massive
cool.
everything.
Hey, so we're gonna get into our playoff brackets now. Johnny, I want you to start. Who do you have in the ALDS? Who's going to the ALCS?
The ALCS, I mean, I'm pretty sure I put Rays White Sox. I mean, the Astros have one of the best lineups in baseball, but their best starter, Lance McCullers, pitched yesterday in Game 162. He's not ready for Game 1. If Lance McCullers was starting Game 1 and Game 5, it's a closer time, but the Astros are going to have to beat Giolito, Lance Lynn, and Dylan Cease, and Ronaldo Lopez. Now, if Dallas Keuchel touches the mound at all,
It's automatic loss.
it's a loss.
Automatic loss.
If Dallas Keuchel touches the mound and if the game is within 30 runs, it's a loss. He's been awful.
Yeah, but I'd much rather pitch guys on 4 days rest instead of 5 days rest, or 3 days rest as a matter of fact, because I do not want Dallas Keuchel touching the mound if they want any chance of winning that
From crafty to
ALDS.
crappy, am I right?
And from crafty to crappy, absolutely.
So you have the White Sox beating Houston. Do you have Tampa or Boston?
Absolutely Tampa. Now, Boston's probably going to win the wildcard game. They're not better than the Rays. No team's better than the Rays. The Rays are winning the World Series. They have a better offensive roster because last year the issue wasn't necessarily that they were worse than the Dodgers. It was that they were a terrible matchup. They could not hit left-handed pitching. And the Dodgers had Kershaw, and they had Julio, and they had Victor Gonzalez. Victor Gonzalez looks like a 4-year-old on the mound. Just he looks like a slow pitch softball. He's tossing that 92 in. It's getting hit out of the park. He gave up a walk-off home run to Jorge Alfaro of the Marlins. No one does that.
GOAT.
It's terrible. Terrible. He's not even in the majors anymore. He's in AAA. Or he might be like picking up coins for the Salvation Army come December. I mean, it's terrible.
I'm going to play damage control. We got to get it going.
Look.
Got to get it going.
The Dodgers are not winning the the Rays are not winning the World Series.
The Rays are winning the World Series.
That is going to be the Giants. The Giants are going to beat the Dodgers, and then they're going to beat the Brewers. And if the Brewers had Devin Williams, who was an idiot and punched a wall celebrating, we would have the Brewers win the World Series. But guess what? Giants over the Rays in 6.
I have the Rays absolutely wiping the floor with the AL, and I think the Brewers winning Game 7 versus the Giants in the ALCS. And then the Brewers are actually going to end up winning the World Series. I think losing Devin Williams is huge, but I think that the starting pitching of the Brewers is what's going to win this World Series.
We shall see. It's going to be a fun week. We'll be back on Monday probably talking about the first couple games of the playoffs. But that's all the time we have for MLB. When we come back, Kyle's sticking with me, and we got Jeff joining us to talk some college football.
Welcome to the HTF Hot Wings Challenge. One of you guys actually do hot sauce like regularly?
No.
No.
It's like the least black thing I do.
Oh, wow, okay.
I say Johnny goes first on this one.
I agree.
The Buccaneers are going to play the Washington football team.
That can't happen.
It'll happen.
I'm terrified.
No, I really hate it.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. No. You're wrong. If it wasn't for Kanye jumping up on stage and doing that, I'm going to let you finish, but no one would know what it was.
Nitros, dump truck. And if you don't know what I'm talking about,
Why is nitro thick?
I don't know how many squats I need to do to get up like something like that, but I will do it.
Oh! Oh my God!
Baseball, obvious reasons. Babe Ruth, if you want to go currently. I feel like that's just like a thing.
he jumped off the wall to catch the home run. We made it through all the way to the end. Thank you for joining us.
I'm never doing this again.
It was rough.
What's up and welcome back. College football was fun this weekend. 9 ranked teams lost, bringing the total to 35 this season. I have Kyle back with me again, and we're joined by Jeff Lokes. Jeff, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great. College football was ecstatic, and we're not even talking about NFL today. Football in general was insane this week, and I'm happy.
It was a great week, especially and in the NFL, which you can catch tomorrow on Girls on Deck. But I want to jump in, which I think the biggest story this week. That's not my rant, but we'll get to that. UTEP, I love you. Cincinnati downing Notre Dame, ending their home win streak. Kyle, did you expect Cincinnati to go in and win?
Well, if you guys watched Nighttime last week, I actually did predict Notre Dame to win. I honestly thought they were going to keep the home streak alive. Yeah, honestly, yes. Desmond Ridder looked like a Heisman contender yesterday on Saturday. And Cincinnati is now in prime position to make a playoff run and represent the AAC for the first time in the college football playoff.
So that's the big question, Jeff, is will the college football playoff either say Notre Dame is overrated and keep Cincinnati out, or will they finally put a group of 5 team in the playoff?
I mean, I'm gonna have to go with the Pac-12 not being able to be in the CFP, and then that's where Cincinnati sneaks in. You know, we're gonna go into this later, but with Oregon falling to Stanford, it causes a whole disruption inside the Pac-12 right now, and that could be the golden opportunity for Cincinnati to enter in right now.
No, Cincinnati is in a great spot. They just need to keep winning. And like Kyle said, I've not been high on Desmond Ridder, but he looked like a Heisman candidate on Saturday. 297 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. He was on. Kyle, just talk to me about Desmond Ridder.
And he
please.
didn't even make any mistakes. That's the biggest problem that I've seen with Desmond Ridder. Like this whole entire season, he's been making mistakes, especially in the Indiana game where he had an interception and a fumble in the first quarter. But besides that, Desmond Ridder has played fantastic football. And as a UCF fan and as a nighttime host for UCF, I'm very scared for 2 weeks from now.
It's going to be a little scary when we go to Cincinnati. But I want to stay on Notre Dame here. Can we finally stop hyping them up? Please?
Yes.
Please?
Yes, absolutely.
Please, for the love of God, stop hyping up Notre Dame.
Losing Jack Cohn in the third quarter, though, for Notre Dame, he left the game with a shoulder injury. That really hurt Notre Dame, though, in the long run, because Jack Cohn was actually playing a very good game, and then they brought in that other guy. I don't even remember his name. That's how bad he played. I think he threw 9 for 22 with like 122 passing yards and a pick. Played awful, absolutely bad, and gave Notre Dame no shot to win that football game.
He was not good at all. And I want to jump to our next game that Jeff brought up, and that's Stanford over Oregon. Now, we can debate whether that pass interference call to give Stanford an untimed down in regulation was pass interference or not, but the Ducks falter yet again in a big game, losing 31-24 in overtime. Jeff, what were your thoughts from that game?
Anthony Brown just possibly isn't the answer right now for the Oregon Ducks. The Oregon Ducks have now dropped to number 8 in the rankings, and like I said, they're losing the sight on the CFP, and that's a lot of revenue. That's a lot of stuff for Oregon. And that's their whole identity, is being in the playoffs, being the premier program in the Pac-12, and it was just a disappointing overall performance from the team, but it was a good game. It was not a bad game by any means. Like you said, that call was pretty controversial into the ending of this.
No, and that's the big thing here is, yes, Oregon got jobbed by the refs.
Absolutely.
I do not
that
think
defensive pass interference was atrocious call.
I do not think that was pass interference whatsoever. But Oregon, since Marcus Mariota left, has become Clemson in the Taj Boyd era, where they're always supposed to be really good, and then they get to that game where they just need to win and don't. Clemsoning is now Oregoning.
Yeah.
That's really hard to say. But Kyle, what were your thoughts? You can talk about the pass interference call if you want, but what were your thoughts on Oregon again faltering on the big stage?
I think they came into this game thinking that it was going to be an easy cakewalk, and I think that it ended up being a trap game. Stanford's already defeated 2 ranked opponents this season, and Tanner McKee has looked absolutely fantastic. Had 230 passing yards on Saturday and 3 touchdowns. And Stanford, honestly, they're really good at beating good teams, but then they just fall to the bad teams. I don't understand Stanford. I have such a love-hate relationship for the Stanford Cardinal. But, I mean, Oregon just decided they didn't show up. And I don't think that it was Anthony Brown's fault. That offensive line played atrociously and gave Anthony Brown no time to throw the football. But besides that, Anthony Brown's actually played great, but he just didn't have his best performance on Saturday. And on the road, it's a very tough environment.
No, and that's the thing is going to Stanford is always hard, but with a team like Stanford, like Kyle said, they play up and down to their opponent, so you never know what to think about them. I will say their throwback uniforms they wore were pretty nice.
Sweet.
The little S on the helmet was a nice touch. I do want to jump ship here and go into Kentucky, Florida. And Kyle, our resident UF fan, I'm just going to let you have the floor. Say what you want, dog.
Dan Mullen, what are you doing? Let Anthony Richardson play. Emory Jones struggled all game long. He had 203 passing yards, but there was no run game from Florida. Dan Mullen we had the 3rd best rushing offense in the whole entire country, and then we have a first quarter we run for about 3 yards of play, and we just abandoned the run game and let Emory Jones drop back and throw the football. That's not his game. We tried getting a little bit more quarterback run in the 4th quarter, but it just didn't end up working out. Florida's defense played absolutely great, held Andre Levis to less than 100 passing yards. Chris Rodriguez for Kentucky had 99 rushing yards and a touchdown too, but the defense played great. They only allowed 1 offensive touchdown. And this is Jack Paschal, Kentucky defensive end. I played a great game, man. 2.5 tackles for loss and a block punt and a block field goal, and then ended up turning into a touchdown for Kentucky. Great game, but now I despise you. That's my rant about Florida. We are now 2-2, ranked 20th, and there's no possible way we should have lost to Kentucky on the road.
So it's the first time Kentucky beat Florida since 1986.
At home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, look, Jeff, what was your thought about the Gators?
Oh.
Oof.
Yeah.
I don't know how you let a guy with a 32.4 QBR win the game against your team. Their defense was playing well. It wasn't like they were letting them running it all over them. But at the end of the day, that one special teams play you're talking about, that block ended up making a difference at the end of the game. And the overall sentiment of Anthony Richardson starting, it needs to happen because Georgia.
Or at least play him more.
Yeah,
or at least play him more.
Because
I think he played a total of 5 snaps on Saturday, and that is absolutely ridiculous. He's the best player that Florida has by far, and he doesn't even touch the field.
So
Dan Mullen, what are you doing?
So Jeff, would you say that blocked field goal gave Kentucky momentum?
100%.
So,
100%.
so do you remember last?
Yeah,
segment?
momentum truthers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
So that gave Kentucky
Momentum. Yeah.
And what did Kentucky do, Kyle?
They actually benefited off of Dan Mullen's horrible play calling, but they also carried the
rode
momentum and won the game.
So it sounds like Johnny is an idiot.
Also can't wait for Johnny idiot, but also cannot wait. I also cannot wait for Kentucky to go against Georgia here in a couple weeks and absolutely get
Arkansas. Get Arkansas.
Yeah, get Arkansas. Get woo-pigged.
So Kyle, I do have a question for you about Dan Mullen.
Yes.
After the game, Dan Mullen was asked if he got out-coached, and he said, "No, I didn't get out-coached because we had 283 yards and they only had like 175."
Wrong.
What's your take on that?
No.
He's not taking responsibility for the loss.
No, he's wrong. Dan Mullen absolutely got out-coached that game. Kentucky did what they had to do to win, and that was play great defense, stop the run, and capitalize on scoring opportunities whenever they had it because they know Florida's defense is one of the best in the SEC. Kentucky absolutely did that, and Dan Mullen actually called a horrible game. Emory Jones should not be doing 3- and 5-step dropbacks and going through progressions. That's not his game.
Hey, no, that's completely fair. But quickly, guys, I want to get your thoughts from this big upset weekend. I mean, we've had 9 ranked teams lose this week. We've had 35 ranked teams lose this season. It feels like 2007 all over again.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Like 2007, if you don't remember, USF peaked at 2. We almost had a Kansas versus Missouri national title game. Jeff, what are your thoughts of college football this season? I mean, it's absolutely crazy.
It's insane, and I was keeping my eye on the SEC this weekend because of the matchups, and Mississippi State over Texas A&M was a huge game, and I give my shout out to Mekhi Polk, the wide receiver from Mississippi State. 13 catches for 126 yards and 2 touchdowns. The QB had a guy to throw to all day, and that was Polk. Polk was in the back of the end zone multiple times, and I was just overly surprised that Texas A&M is now getting exposed once again.
Yeah.
Jimbo Fisher,
I'm always
what are you
down
doing?
for Jimbo Fisher slander.
All right.
Always down for Jimbo Fisher.
Kyle, quickly. Thoughts from this college football season? How
There's
crazy it is.
finally parity in college football, guys. I mean, it's Alabama, Georgia, but then everybody else is about equal. I mean, Iowa and Penn State, it's a great matchup this weekend, 3 and 4, but Iowa and Penn State are nowhere close to where Georgia and Alabama are. But in the main landscape of college football, there is parity, and I'm very glad to see it.
All right, that's all we have for this segment. When we come back, it's the rant.
Also, UCF should have never lost.
Hey, I love you, UTEP. I'm going to be talking about you in a second. All right, peace.
Here's the story of a show creator who was gearing up to form a bigger crew.
One's a California guy,
A god of graphics.
one hosted girls on deck.
It's a story of a 4-year nightmare, which is finally coming to an end. Thank God.
And the new kid, a Packers lover.
Tampa forever.
So then one day all these people work together to face a year unlike one that's ever been. And his group rebranded in Orlando. That's the way we all became HTFN. 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 That's the way we became HTFN. That's blasphemy!
All right, guys, I want to thank my guests for coming on. And for the rant this week, I want to talk about a story that only college football sickos like me are tracking. So here is my open letter to UTEP football. Yes, UTEP, as in the school in El Paso. Dear UTEP football, we've had a complicated relationship. I wrote an article for Forgotten Five 4 years ago about how they were projected to set the record for most losses in a row, and you blocked me on social media. To put it super nicely, the Miners were bad. You have since unblocked me, and we're friends now, so let me talk about y'all for a few minutes. Their last bowl game appearance came in 2014, and before this season, they were 14-61 since 2015, which included a stretch where they went 0-12, 1-11, 1-11 in 3 consecutive seasons. That stretch is where the infamous article was written. And to be frank, they deserved it. They played some of the worst football I had ever watched. It just had to be written about. And to be honest, that second 1-11 season felt like growth, substantial growth. It wasn't growth in the record, but it was definitely growth. That growth was realized last season when they started 3-1. But what happened next was a step back. They finished the season 0-4 to end 3-5. This season, they're off to an incredible 4-1 start. And this last week, they won their first conference opener in 11 years. That is amazing. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. Have they beaten 3 of the worst teams in the FBS and an FCS school? Yes. New Mexico State, New Mexico, and Old Dominion are all near the bottom in the country in the Football Power Index rankings. NMSU is 130th out of 130. New Mexico is 124th out of 130, and Old Dominion is 118th out of 130. But when you are consistently ranked 130th or 129th, depending on UConn, it doesn't matter who you beat. UTEP beating Old Dominion was technically an upset because UTEP is ranked 120th, and yeah, that's an upset. So is it pretty? No. There are a few things I want to say about this. One, believe it or not, no, I'm not a UTEP fan, nor do I have any connections to UTEP. I just watch all of college football, and I enjoy talking about it. And 2, the FPI has UTEP favored to only win 1 more game. If UTEP can beat Rice on November 20th and pull off at least 1 upset before then and get to a bowl game, I will be ecstatic. Sure, Arkansas has a good story this season, and you could probably find a million flashier headlines, but UTEP being 2 wins away from bowl eligibility 5 weeks into the season is by far the best story in college football. Get on the UTEP hype train. That is our show. I will see you next week. Peace.
Things gon' change when I really hit the field. Undefeated chance, man, you know what's the deal. Tryna find a kid, I'm in the field doing drills. Boy, you just a sucker, you ain't never keep it real. 3 rings in my hand, I'm a warrior to the max. When I hang it up, they gon' have to give me plaques. Step up in the building and I only bring the facts. When I make a highlight, they gon' replay, run it back, okay? Always locked in, I don't got time to lax. Saying he the best, he could take a lap. Batted 1,000 when you check the stats. Boy, is you ready? You ain't gotta ask.